Winning is not an accident. It is not something that happens to a select few while the rest of the world watches in admiration. It is a mindset, a belief system, a way of approaching life that determines whether we step forward with confidence or hold ourselves back in fear. Before any great achievement, before any remarkable success, before any victory or small, it all begins in the mind. The way we think shapes the way we act. Our thoughts influence our decisions, our energy, and ultimately our results. The world may try to tell us that success is about talent, luck, or the right connections, but the truth is, it begins long before any of that matters. It begins with the way we think about ourselves, our potential, and our ability to overcome challenges. Think about the people who have accomplished extraordinary things. Athletes, innovators, leaders, and artists. They all have one thing in common: an unshakable belief that they are capable of achieving something bigger than themselves. They train their minds just as much as they train their skills. They understand that without the right mindset, even the most talented individual can fall short. One of the biggest differences between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent. It's the way they handle obstacles. The mind is the battlefield where success is won or lost. When faced with setbacks, some people see them as proof that they aren't good enough, while others see them as an opportunity to grow. This is the difference between a fixed mindset and a winning mindset. A fixed mindset says, I'm either good at this or I'm not, while a winning mindset says, I can get better if I keep going. This small but significant shift in thinking changes everything. The way we talk to ourselves matters more than we realize. If we constantly tell ourselves that we aren't good enough, that we don't have what it takes, that we will never succeed, then those thoughts become our reality. But if we train our minds to believe that we are capable, that we are resilient, that we are worthy of success, then we create the mental foundation for achievement. Fear often plays a significant role in whether we allow ourselves to think like winners. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, all of these can be paralyzing if we let them. But winning isn't about never feeling fear. It's about not letting fear make our decisions for us. It's about acknowledging fear, recognizing it, and choosing to move forward anyway. The stories we tell ourselves shape our actions. If we tell ourselves that we are incapable, that we are not smart enough, not strong enough, not brave enough, then we will act accordingly. But if we tell ourselves that we are capable, that we can figure things out, that we can adapt and grow, then we will act in ways that align with that belief. People who succeed at the highest levels understand that their mindset is their greatest asset. They don't wait for motivation to strike, they create it. They don't wait for perfect circumstances, they adapt. They don't see failure as the end of the road, they see it as a lesson, a stepping stone to something greater. There is a reason why so many elite athletes spend time visualizing their success before they even step onto the field. They know that if they can see themselves winning in their minds, they are far more likely to make it a reality. The same principle applies to every aspect of life. If we can train our minds to see success, to believe in our own ability, to anticipate challenges and prepare for them, then we are setting ourselves up for victory before we even begin. One of the greatest challenges of developing a winning mindset is overcoming self-doubt. That inner voice that whispers, you're not good enough, you're going to fail, who do you think you are? That voice has stopped more people from pursuing their dreams than any external obstacle ever could. The key to winning is learning to challenge that voice, to reframe those thoughts, and to replace them with something stronger, something empowering. A winning mindset doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending that everything will always go smoothly. It means acknowledging the difficulties, accepting the challenges, and deciding to push forward anyway. It means seeing obstacles, not as dead ends, but as opportunities to grow stronger. It means focusing on solutions rather than problems. The way we train our minds to respond to challenges makes all the difference. Some people face a setback and immediately think, this is proof that I'm not meant for this. Others face the same setback and think, this is part of the process. What can I learn from this? That shift in perspective determines whether someone gives up or keeps going. We all have the ability to develop a winning mindset. It's not something reserved for a select few. It's a choice, it's a practice. It's something we can cultivate every single day by being intentional about the way we think, the way we talk to ourselves, and the way we respond to the world around us. The mind is like a muscle. The more we train it, the stronger it becomes. Just like an athlete doesn't expect to win without practice, we can't expect to succeed without training our minds for success. Every time we choose resilience over defeat, belief over doubt, courage over fear, we strengthen that muscle. Every time we push ourselves outside of our comfort zone, every time we take a risk, every time we refuse to let failure define us, we are setting our minds to win. And when we do that, when we truly commit to training our minds for success, the possibilities are limitless. Fear is an unavoidable part of life. It is woven into our very existence, appearing in moments of uncertainty, in situations that push us beyond our comfort zones, and in the quiet thoughts that creep into our minds when we dare to dream bigger than we ever have before. Fear can be overwhelming, paralyzing even, but the truth is, fear is not our enemy. The problem isn't fear itself, it's how we respond to it. Too often we are taught that fear is something to be avoided, that if we feel afraid, it must mean we are not ready, not capable, or not strong enough. But fear doesn't mean stop. Fear doesn't mean turn back. Fear is simply a signal that we are stepping into something unfamiliar, something uncertain, something that challenges us in ways we may not yet fully understand. It is in these moments when fear threatens to hold us back that we must learn to embrace it instead of run from it. Vulnerability walks hand in hand with fear. To be vulnerable is to expose ourselves to the possibility of failure, to rejection, to the unknown. It is standing in front of the world saying, this is who I am, this is what I want, and I am willing to risk the discomfort of failure to pursue something meaningful. Vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, but in reality, it is the foundation of courage. Without vulnerability, there is no bravery, no growth, no true success. Think about the moments in life that require the most courage. Stepping onto a stage to speak, taking a risk in a relationship, starting something new, admitting a mistake, asking for help, sharing an idea that matters to you. Each of these moments demands that we embrace the possibility of rejection, of discomfort, of failure. They require us to be seen fully and completely without the guarantee of a perfect outcome. This is why so many people avoid vulnerability, why they retreat into what feels safe and familiar instead of taking the risk of showing up as their true selves. But here's the truth. Every meaningful success, every deep connection, every moment of real joy comes with the willingness to be vulnerable. There is no achievement without the risk of failure. There is no love without the risk of heartbreak. There is no growth without the discomfort of stepping into something new. The people who live the fullest lives are not the ones who avoid vulnerability. They are the ones who embrace it. Fear and vulnerability are not things to be conquered. They are things to be understood and accepted. We cannot eliminate fear from our lives, but we can change our relationship with it. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, we can see it as a green light, an indication that we are moving towards something important, something that has the potential to transform us. Instead of viewing vulnerability as a weakness, we can recognize it as a strength, the key to deeper connections, greater achievements, and a more meaningful existence. There is a reason why some of the most successful people in the world talk about their failures more than their victories. It's because they understand that the road to success is paved with moments of uncertainty, with risks taken, with failures that became lessons. They did not succeed because they never felt fear. They succeeded because they acted in spite of it. They did not achieve greatness because they avoided vulnerability. They achieved greatness because they embraced it. But embracing fear and vulnerability is not something that happens overnight. It is a practice, a choice we make every single day in the way we approach our lives. It starts in the small moments, choosing to speak up when we have something to say, even if our voice shakes, choosing to try something new, even if we are not sure we will be good at it, choosing to share our thoughts, our dreams, our struggles, even when there is no guarantee of acceptance or understanding. The hardest part about vulnerability is that it requires us to let go of control. It asks us to step into the unknown without knowing exactly how things will turn out. This is terrifying for most people because we crave certainty. We want to know that if we take a risk, it will pay off. That if we put ourselves out there, we will be met with approval. But life does not offer those guarantees. The word vulnerable to me shows up everything. The word vulnerable. And so we have a choice. Either we stay small, never stepping fully into who we are, or we take the risk and embrace the possibility that yes, we might fail, but we also might succeed in ways we never imagined. Fear and vulnerability are often the barriers that stand between us and the life we truly want to live. The dreams we put on hold, the conversations we avoid, the goals we convince ourselves are out of reach. Most of these are not stopped by external forces, but by our own unwillingness to step into discomfort. The fear of failure keeps us from trying. The fear of rejection keeps us from connecting. The fear of imperfection keeps us from creating. But when we learn to embrace fear instead of resist it, we lean into vulnerability instead of running from it, we open ourselves up to a life that is richer, deeper, and more fulfilling. We begin to see that the discomfort of uncertainty is a small price to pay for the rewards of growth and discovery. We realize that failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary part of it. Every person who has ever achieved something great has faced fear and vulnerability. Every artist, every leader, every entrepreneur, every athlete, they have all had moments of doubt, of insecurity, of feeling exposed. The difference is that they did not let those feelings stop them. They kept going. They understood that the fear never fully goes away, but that they could move forward anyway. We do not become fearless by eliminating fear. We become fearless by learning to walk with it. We do not become strong by avoiding vulnerability. We become strong by embracing it, by stepping into the discomfort and owning every part of who we are. Perfection is a myth that we have been conditioned to chase. From the time we are young, we are taught that success means getting things right the first time, that being the best means never failing, and that our worth is tied to how flawlessly we perform. We measure ourselves against impossible standards, afraid to make mistakes, afraid to be seen as anything less than extraordinary. But perfection is an illusion, one that keeps us stuck, afraid to take risk, afraid to try, afraid to fail. Resilience, on the other hand, is real. Resilience is what allows us to keep going when things don't go as planned. It is the ability to rise after falling, to learn from setbacks, to keep moving forward even when the path is uncertain. Unlike perfection, resilience does not demand that we never fail. It demands that we keep trying. And that is what truly separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. the willingness to get back up again and again, no matter how many times they fall. Perfectionism is not about excellence. It is about fear. It is the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of not being enough. It convinces us that if we cannot do something perfectly, we should not do it at all. It keeps us waiting until the right moment, the moment when we feel completely prepared, completely confident, completely ready. But that moment never comes, because perfection is a moving target. It shifts, it expands. It always stays just out of reach. Perfectionism whispers, if you fail, you are a failure. Resilience shouts back, failure is a part of growth. The truth is, every person who has achieved something meaningful has failed along the way. Every great artist has painted something terrible. Every great writer has written something unreadable. Every great entrepreneur has made mistakes that cost them time, money, and sometimes even their confidence. The difference is that they did not let those failures define them. They understood that failure was not a reflection of their worth, but a necessary step on the path to success. The world does not reward perfection, it rewards persistence. It rewards the people who are willing to try, to learn, to adjust, and to keep going even when things don't go according to plan. Resilience is what allows us to take risks, to put ourselves out there, to pursue the things that matter, even when we know that failure is a possibility. Without resilience, we stay stuck in the fear of imperfection, unwilling to step outside of our comfort zones, afraid to do anything that might expose us to criticism or rejection. But here's the reality. If we wait until we are perfect, we will never begin. If we expect to get everything right on the first try, we will never take the first step. And if we tie our worth to being flawless, we will never allow ourselves the space to grow, to experiment, to push ourselves beyond what we think we are capable of. Resilience is a skill that must be built. It does not come naturally to most people. It must be developed, strengthened, and practiced. And like any skill, the only way to improve is through experience. We have to put ourselves in situations where we might fail. We have to be willing to do things imperfectly. We have to allow ourselves to be beginners, to struggle, to feel uncomfortable. This is where growth happens. Not in the pursuit of perfection, but in the willingness to keep going despite imperfection. One of the biggest barriers to resilience is the way we talk to ourselves. Perfectionism often sounds like, I should be better by now, or if I fail, people will think I'm not good enough. Resilience sounds like, I am learning, or this setback does not define me. The way we frame our experiences matters. When we expect perfection, every mistake feels like proof that we are not good enough. But when we prioritize resilience, mistakes become lessons, setbacks become stepping stones, and failure becomes a teacher instead of a judge. Resilience is not just about bouncing back, it is about bouncing forward. It is about using our failures to propel us further instead of letting them keep us stuck. It is about recognizing that growth does not happen in a straight line, that success is not a smooth road, and that the best things in life are often found on the other side of struggle. The people who achieve the most are not the ones who never fall, they are the ones who refuse to stay down. We live in a world that celebrates achievement, but often ignores the struggle that comes before it. We see the polished results, the gold medals, the best-selling books, the successful businesses, but we rarely see the work, the failures, the countless times those same people wanted to quit. But if we look closer, if we listen to their stories, we hear the truth. No one succeeds without struggle. No one gets it right the first time. No one reaches their goals without resilience. Perfection might seem like the safer path, but in reality, it is the path that keeps us small. It keeps us from taking chances, from stepping into opportunities, from discovering our full potential. Resilience, on the other hand, is what allows us to break free from the fear of imperfection and step into the fullness of who we are meant to be. It is what pushes us forward when everything in us wants to stop. It is what reminds us that our worth is not tied to our ability to be flawless, but to our ability to keep going, to keep learning, to keep trying, no matter what. Courage is not a one-time decision. It is not something we summon in a single moment of boldness and then carry with us forever. Courage is a daily practice, a choice we make again and again, often in the smallest and quietest ways. It is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes courage is simply getting up and trying again after yesterday knocked us down. It is speaking when our voice shakes, showing up when we would rather hide, and taking a step forward even when we have no guarantee of where the path will lead. The world often paints courage as something extraordinary, as though it belongs only to heroes, revolutionaries, or those who do things on a grand scale. We see courage in stories of people who take unimaginable risks, who defy the odds, who push beyond all limits. And while those acts of bravery are real and inspiring, they are not the only form of courage that exists. Courage is also found in everyday moments, the ones no one else sees, the ones that do not make headlines but require just as much strength. It is found in the person who decides to start over, the one who asks for help, the one who forgives, the one who keeps going despite uncertainty. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to act in spite of it. Many people believe that they have to wait until they no longer feel afraid before they can be courageous, as if bravery is something that will suddenly appear once fear disappears. But fear never fully goes away. The most courageous people in the world feel fear just like everyone else. The difference is that they do not let it stop them. They feel the fear, acknowledge it, and move forward anyway. And because fear is a constant, courage must be too. It is not something we find once and keep forever. It is something we must choose over and over again. Some days it is a battle just to show up. Some days courage means admitting we do not have all the answers. Some days it means standing up for ourselves, even when it would be easier to stay silent. Some days it means simply believing in ourselves when doubt creeps in. The practice of courage does not require perfection. In fact, it thrives in imperfection. Courage is messy. It is stumbling through something new and unfamiliar. It is risking failure, rejection, or discomfort. It is trying, even when we are not sure we will succeed. And because of that, courage demands vulnerability. There is no way to be truly courageous without also being vulnerable, without exposing ourselves to the possibility of falling short. But without that vulnerability, there is no growth, no transformation, no real success. One of the greatest challenges in practicing courage daily is the fear of what others will think. The need for approval can be a powerful force, keeping us from taking risks or speaking our truth. We hesitate to share our ideas because we are afraid they will not be good enough. We avoid difficult conversations because we fear conflict. We hold ourselves back from pursuing our dreams because we worry about judgment. But the reality is, no matter what we do, there will always be opinions, and we cannot let those opinions dictate our lives. The courage to be ourselves, fully and unapologetically, is one of the hardest but most essential choices we can make. Courage also requires us to let go of certainty. We love the idea of guarantees, of knowing exactly how things will turn out before we take the leap. But real life does not offer those guarantees. Every courageous decision involves risk. Every bold step carries the possibility of failure. If we wait for certainty, we will wait forever. The people who accomplish the most are not the ones who had perfect clarity before they started. They are the ones who took action despite the unknown. They understood that waiting for the right time is often just another way of avoiding discomfort. And courage is uncomfortable. It asks us to step into the unfamiliar. It pushes us to confront our fears rather than hide from them. It forces us to break free from what is easy and step into what is necessary. But just like any other practice, the more we do it, the stronger we become. The small moments of courage matter just as much as the big ones. Courage is not just about taking huge leaps. It is also about taking small but meaningful steps. It is found in the decision to wake up and try again after a failure. It is in the willingness to say, "I don't know," instead of pretending to have all the answers. It is in the ability to own our mistakes rather than hide from them. It is in the choice to be kind when it would be easier to be indifferent. Courage is built in the moments when no one is watching, when there is no external reward, when it is just us and our inner battles. It is in the way we speak to ourselves, in the way we push forward even when doubt whispers in our ears. It is in the decision to chase our dreams even when we feel unqualified. It is in the belief that we are enough even when our inner critic tells us otherwise. We do not wake up one day suddenly fearless. We do not suddenly reach a point where courage becomes effortless, but we do get stronger. We do get braver. We do get better at making the choice over and over again to step into our lives fully without holding back. And the more we choose courage, the more we realize that it is not about being fearless. It is about being willing